Like I said, we go live really fast on this one. All right, everybody, welcome. It's Happy Monday. Masha, how are you today?
I'm good. How's it going, Nancy?
It's going. It's Martin Luther King Day. Happy Martin Luther King Day.
Yes, you too.
I didn't know I was working today until I got up and looked at my calendar and went, oops, I forgot to give my staff off. So I guess I'm working too.
I didn't realize it was like a big thing in the US. In Canada, like it's not so much, but my VA in the US is off. So I'm by myself.
There you go. There you go. So, all right, today's topic is a really good one because it's not going to be the regular stuff people are always used to hearing, right? These are the
Yeah.
6 hidden signs that your website copy needs a refresh. But before we get into the subject, tell everyone who you are, what you do, and how they can find you, because I want to start putting that at the beginning of the videos as well as at the end.
Oh, that's a good idea. So my name is Masha Koyen, and I'm a messaging strategist and website copywriter for interior designers. So I help designers write their website copy with an audience, with a framework that uses audience research and audience insights. And you can find me on Instagram, masha.copywriter.
Masha.copywriter. Okay. All right, everyone. So whether you're watching live on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, all the different places we're live, if you ask a question, hopefully we can see it. If not, we'll go in after and try to answer questions on the different platforms. So don't hesitate to ask questions. So Masha, let's talk today about the 6 hidden signs that your website copy needs to be refreshed.
Yeah. So before we do that, the things that are not so hidden, we're not talking about those. The things that are not so hidden is something is broken on your website, like a page is not working. That's a pretty obvious sign that you need to rebrand. Something changed in your business. So like you're offering a new service offer, or maybe you're no longer offering e-design services, or I don't know, color consults or whatever. That's a more of an obvious sign, or you're going through a major rebrand. These are all obvious things. We're not really talking about those things today. So we're talking about things that interior designers don't often think about when it comes to their website. So the first thing is lack of client journey mapping. So I know it's kind of like sounds very jargony, but it is not. So here's the thing, and I actually did a story on this on my Instagram today, but think of your website like you're hosting a dinner party. So a guest arrives, and if you have not considered a client journey, then your guests arrive, you're not taking their coats, there's no one at the door, no idea what time drinks are served, appetizers, is there dinner, what time is dinner? They're kind of just wandering between the rooms. That's kind of like a website that doesn't really consider a client journey. On the other hand, when you do consider a client journey, you're there at the door to greet your guests. You're welcoming them. You're telling them you're in the right place. You're telling them the drinks are served here. The dinner is at 7. Everything is, you're basically hosting this dinner party. Same with your website. You want to make sure that there is a journey for your website visitors. You want to make sure that their questions are answered, that they know they're in the right place, that they recognize where they are, who you help, how you help, and kind of leading them on the way, slowly helping them navigate to get to that call to action, which is, schedule a consultation or download the thing that you're offering or whatever it may be. You're basically helping them navigate through your website and not just leaving them kind of wandering to their own devices.
So it's like without a path, where do you go? You just sort of bounce around. So now you're trying to say, choose the path for the client, just like you do in your designs. You're recommending, right? So how do you do that for your website?
Yeah, you're basically telling them that is your website, that is your brand. You're telling them, what do you want them to learn first about you? What do you want them to learn next about you? How do you serve? And slowly to the call to action. So make sure you've got a clearly outlined, a clearly mapped out service journey. And that what it looks like is essentially, if you're on your homepage, for example, and website visitors land on your homepage, there is a bit of a teaser about your unique value proposition. There's a bit of a teaser about who you are, the human behind the brand. Then there is services. So there's a clear map of, oh, okay, I'm getting to know this person. I'm getting to know this designer, how she works, who she serves, and what do I do next? Where do I go next? And you've kind of mapped out that journey for me as an end user, as your prospective client.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, that's the first thing. I feel like that's such an important thing that's often overlooked.
Yeah, that's the first step, is mapping out the client journey.
Exactly. Okay. So the second thing is neglecting pain points. So oftentimes, you and I know that when we get to, interior design websites, we see, beautiful and functional environments. That's all great, but it doesn't really take in consideration what are the real pain points your clients may have. It's not just that they want beautiful spaces or functional spaces. Oftentimes, there's so many other things that they want, and that takes getting to know your clients. And I even recommend having kind of like an archive of pain points. So every time you take on a new project or you're going through a project, jot down the things that your clients say, the things that they want in their space. Jot them down and keep.
Oh my God, great tip. I hope everyone heard that. We actually have a whole spreadsheet of things that people say, both in our Facebook group and when they come into coaching with me. And we do go back and go, if one person has this pain point, more people have this pain point. Exactly. And if they were in your ideal client category, then use that pain point for the future words on your website or in emails or blogs or things like that. That's
well said. Yes. And it's not just the messaging for your website. Keep that document for your social media content too. Because those, like you said, Nancy, those pain points, if one person is saying that, most likely that other people have the same pain points. And like you said, if they are in your ideal audience category, you want to make sure to amplify those pain points, because why do we include or weave those pain points into the messaging of your website is because we want our clients to feel heard and understood when they get to your website. So when they do get to your homepage or your services page and you're speaking exactly to them, you're addressing those pain points, they're like, oh my God, this is the person that I want to work with, because she clearly understands what she's talking about and she clearly has worked with people like me.
Yes, she gets it.
Yeah, she gets it.
Right? She gets it, or he or she gets it. So if they're seeing the right messaging from you and they relate to it, they can see themselves in this pain point, you're more likely to get them on your calendar for a conversation.
That's right. There's a connection that happens. Yeah. So that's the second one. The third one is lack of human touch. So that's, that website copy that almost feels too formal. Like there's not enough conversational tone or language. There's not enough, well, who is this designer? Who is this designer behind this brand? Like how many times I get to an interior designer's website and I don't even know who the designer is because there is our firm or our team.
Oh my God, me too. It's one of my biggest pet peeves. When they get on my calendar to fill out an application for Profit Insider, sometimes I don't even know who's coming to my calendar because I can't find a picture of them or a personal anything anywhere.
Right.
So these are usually very shy people, and I get it. It's hard to be in the public eye. It's hard to put your personality out there for fear of having, judgment or rejection or, whatever. But it's part of your responsibility as a business owner to get business in the front door and to use some of the free resources that are available. And that's what you're talking about, right? I mean, not just your website, but across the board.
100%.
This is stuff you can use in many places.
Yeah. And injecting that human touch is so important. At the end of the day, it's kind of like a human to human selling. So you want to make sure that you're connecting with your audience, and you want to kind of give them a glimpse of what's it like to work with you. Give them a glimpse of not just here's my company name and a bit of a description about what my interior design brand does, but who am I going to be working with? I want to know who's that person that's going to be managing this project, and who am I connecting with? Who am I resonating with? So definitely making sure that you've got this human touch and the copy doesn't come across as very formal, because oftentimes on our Instagram, on our social media, it's very relaxed. We put a lot of stories. But as soon as it comes to the website, all of a sudden it's very, very
Stiff.
formal. Yeah, very stiff, sometimes dry, sometimes too corporate because it's the website. No, it has to be consistently kind of.
It feels like 1980s to me. Like this is when I first developed my websites for my companies, or 1990s. It was just like, this is like a business card.
Yeah. Well,
That's
what do
what
we
it
know
was.
back then? You know what I mean? It's nowadays, it's like, this is your website. This is your, like when people come to your website, this is your opportunity to really showcase who you are.
It's an extension of you and your
100%.
business.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's the third one. So the fourth one is no clear, unique value proposition. And this is key. You
Give
know,
an example of a unique value proposition, just one.
your secret sauce. Okay, for example, my unique value proposition is I am a messaging strategist specifically for interior designers. And my framework, the way I write website copy, is I use audience insights, client interviews, so that the copy at the end of the day resonates with your ideal clients.
So that's your
my
unique value
proposition. Yeah, I'm not positioning myself just like a regular copywriter. I could, but I'm not, because I have an edge. You want to make sure that secret sauce, that edge, that X factor, whatever you want to call it, is front and center on your website. So when people arrive at your website, like, oh, okay, that's different. That speaks to me.
Well, yeah, in your case, your process is different from other copywriters, perhaps, right? So as an interior designer, is there something about their process that's different from other designers? Is it something about their history, their personality, their education, their style? There's so many different things that could be your unique value proposition. So really digging in and figuring that out is essential.
And that's the good news, that there could be so many things about your business, right? It's not just your process. It's not just the style that you design it. It's not just the aesthetic. Like you said, it could be literally anything about your brand, about your process, about how you work, about the customer experience that your clients have, anything. But as long as you figure it out and really articulate it clearly and front and center on your website.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So we covered 4 things. The 5th one is lack of storytelling. And that's, I think, is key. I definitely have seen cases where people are not taking advantage of storytelling, and stories sell. We know that. So you want to make sure that you're talking about what motivates you. How do you design? What goes into decision-making process? You want to include client stories. You want to give people this kind of personalized touch and use it as a story, and not just like, well, this is the service, steps 1 through 3, but you want to make sure that all the bits on your website and make an emotional connection with your audience. So using storytelling is so important at this day and age.
I think that's a great suggestion. And also in storytelling could be, this is the challenge the client had, and this is how we fixed it.
100%.
Right?
You're showcasing it exactly. You're talking about the pain point, but you're also positioning yourself as this problem solver, and you're showing how you've done that. So when people get to your website, wherever you are describing that problem or a case study, typically it is like a case study. It's like, oh, okay, I have something like that. So she helped them accomplish this. I see myself in that story,
Yes.
and that works.
It works. I love it. All right, number 6, drum roll, please.
And this is the last one. And again, so overlooked, and it kind of an obvious one, but I think it's still important to mention. No clear call to action. How many times I've gotten to about page, specifically about, I noticed that on about page, because other pages, I think interior designers are pretty good at including that call to action. But on the about page, imagine if your about page is the first landing page where your users end up. Where do they go next? Don't rely on them to find that contact us button at the top right-hand corner. You got to tell them where you want them to go next. Typically, it is a services page. You want them to learn about your way of working. So even your about page, I think typically we have 5 core pages in our websites. I think every single page needs a clear call to action. And that call to action is not just learn more, get in touch. You have to put a compelling reason for them to kind of be compelled to make that next step. You got to remind them what you're so damn good at, and at the same time give them a reason, to reach out. Why you? So there's so many cool things that we can do with calls to action, as long as it's just not as simple. Learn more.
No, and I think it has to be a place where people are okay with tooting their own horn in a way that their clients can absorb it. and hire them, right? People are afraid. They're always trying to be modest. I don't want to oversell. I don't want to oversell. So I'm not going to put a contact button, like a contact me on this page, because this page is just supposed to be about me. No, put here's a link to my calendar. Let's chat.
Exactly. And that's
across every page if you have to, like that's your call
sure.
to action. Get them on your calendar.
For sure. And that's going back to our first point, the mapping out the user journey.
Yes.
You have to tell them what they're actually expecting you to tell them. You're not overselling. You're on your website. They landed there for a reason. They want to know more. They have questions. They want to make sure you're addressing their pain points and questions. So
yes.
Give them one extra step, the step that you want them to take. Don't just assume that they would, because assuming is probably the last thing that you want to do. Don't assume that they'll find the right button or they'll know magically where to go next. No, help them, like kind of take them on a journey. Hey, first learn about me, then learn about how I work, and then let's get in touch and talk about your project.
Okay, so give them a good call to action to get in touch with you when they want to find out what their unique selling proposition is and get their copy on their website analyzed by you.
I think an amazing call to action would be that reminds them what you're good at. For example, take the hassle of managing your project from start to finish, where you feel like you're getting not just a luxury look, but a truly luxury experience.
Right. Or stop trying to pull your hair out and do it yourself. Let me do what I do best.
Exactly.
Click here.
So this call to action speaks to the pain point and urges to take them the next step. Talk to me today. Talk to me now. It also builds on the urgency of making that next step.
Okay, so give them your call to action.
My call to action. Okay, if you have no idea where to even start with your website copy, or you are not sure what your secret sauce is, and your messaging is not strategy, reach out to a messaging strategist that actually speaks interior design.
Which is, where do they go?
You go to Masha.copywriter on my Instagram is probably the best place to go. Or if you want to actually talk to me, let's go on contentvertical.com, click on that contact button, and let's chat.
Okay, so Masha just gave you 2 calls to action. I'm going to make it even simpler. Go to Masha.copywriter on Instagram, follow her, send her a message to get on her calendar to start figuring out what your unique selling proposition is, and to have her look at the copy on your website. A preliminary glance can tell you a lot as to whether you really need help to move forward, which most people do unless they've redone their website over the last year or 2, I'd say.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, I would love to chat. Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, everyone, go have a great Monday, and we will see you next time with my sponsor, Masha Koyen, copywriter for your website for interior designers, for our message mastery lessons. So stay tuned. We're trying to post them in advance so you guys can know on your calendars when we're going live. And if you miss any of them live and you want to go check them out, my YouTube channel is the best place to find all of our lives. So go to Nancy Ganzekaufer on YouTube and you'll find everything. So thanks, everybody. Thanks, Masha.
Love it. Thanks, Nancy.
See you next time. Bye, everyone.